Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho gives us a take on the Oedipus complex, sexuality, split personality, and greed, and how all these things can serve as a gateway to madness. The first thing I would like to talk about is greed. Marion gives into greed as she steals the money for the sake of her and Sam. Their financial situation has held back the relationship, and her social surroundings have made her envious in the sense that her colleague is married and she is yet to tie the knot with the one she loves. Let's take a look at this guy. He does what rappers do best today, and that is bragging about his stacks. Hitchcock introduces this man as a bait for Marion to act on her impulses to steal. Realistically, you wouldn't feel as bad stealing from this guy as you would from this kid. He is portrayed as misogynistic, shady, and cocky, characteristics to Marion that justify her impulses to steal. In other words, Hitchcock introduces this character to influence Marion to rationalize and justify her crime. Let's go to the crime itself. Take a look at Marion's clothes. She transitions from a white to a black outfit, which can symbolize her transition to madness. Hitchcock uses color to contrast good and evil, suggesting that despite justifying her actions, stealing from a rich guy is still a crime. As a consequence of her crime, Marion begins to show signs of paranoia as she drives. She starts to imagine voices and conversations inside her head, indicating that she is slowly going mad. It is also important to note Hitchcock's decision to gradually darken the lighting as the scene progresses. Here we can see the different timestamps and how lighting gets darker with time. This can represent the increasing levels of madness Marion is experiencing, as well as her mental state slipping as she unleashes herself from her morals. As the camera zooms in on Marion, we can see her facial expression, which indicates that she has come to terms with her mad side. She is starting to enjoy herself. Her smile is similar to when Norman smiles at the camera as he becomes consumed with his mother's identity. The two scenes are an indication of both characters' acceptance of their insanity. Fast forward a bit, we get to the famous shower scene. The shower is a metaphor for Marion being cleansed of her sins since she decides to go back to return the money. However, this decision is moot because she is murdered. The camera transitions the drain to Marion's eye, an illustrative metaphor of Marion's life being drained out of her as the last thing she looks at is of the money. This is Hitchcock's way of showing us that for Marion, this was the cause of her demise, as this situation she has gotten herself in started and ended with money, and ultimately greed.
Analysis number 2. Sexuality and Oedipal complex. Hitchcock introduces borderline taboo open sexuality to the public, starting with his opening scene. With Hitchcock's type of camera style, the audience become voyeurs due to human moments such as these that are usually private for just the people involved. In the opening scene, we see Marion and Sam after sexual tryst, which is considered to be taboo at the time due to infrequency and shaming of premarital sex. As the camera zooms into the window of the couple, we are introduced into Hitchcock's ability to make the audience feel as if they do not belong, which, in a word, is voyeurism. The cameras zoom into the hotel as audience peeks through the curtains of the window, which is usually a mechanism to create the illusion of privacy and has the audience feel as if they've invaded their privacy. In this scene, Norman invades Marion's privacy with his own perverted curiosity. The mezzanine scene Hitchcock has set up has the viewers in Norman's shoes. The first-person point of view puts us in Norman's position so we see what he sees. Marianne is objectified as a visual pleasure in this scene, so the audience can understand the trigger of Norman's subconscious Norma personality after the big reveal later on in the film that causes him to kill Marianne. In the infamous shower scene, we the audience are again set in voyeurism as we observe Marianne as she showers. This scene is quite lengthy for someone just showering. Hitchcock again uses something as simple and as private as showering to make the viewers feel as if they were peering into someone's private personal time, as it also creates a false sense of security for both Marion and the viewers. When a person uses a bathroom, it is considered me time, or the person works on their appearance or simply drops their guard so that they can be their imperfect selves. This scene drags on so that the abrupt shift from security to invasiveness is intensified, as we can see through the sudden opening of the door and Mother's silhouette cascading the shower's curtain. Even though we do not see the gore of Marion's death, we see quick, sudden glances of her naked body. Her body shows a bareness of the situation. Marion is caught off guard and grasps her nude body as if she was still trying to preserve her dignity. The fact that Norman attacks Marion in the shower is a sort of homage to Norman's sexual desire for other women. If he wanted to, he could have killed her in her sleep or perhaps in the parlor as they ate. Instead, he and his mother attacks Marion in literally and figuratively her most naked moments. Norman struggles with his sexuality due to the Oedipal complex. According to Sigmund Freud, the Oedipal complex is the son's desire to usurp and possess the father figure as well as his desire for his mother's heart. In the film, Norman believes that his mother is jealous of his attraction to other women since he is in turn jealous of his mother's lovers, as he feels the feelings between the both of them were mutual. Because he both assumes the role of Norma and Norman, his version of his mother comes out whenever his other persona of Norman is aroused. Analysis number 3. Split personality. The bedroom scene is the longest one-on-one scene in the film. This scene serves as character development for Norman as he talks about his early days with his mother. Though the dialogue about his mother is important, Hitchcock's directional views tell a secondary story that doesn't need to be said aloud. His use of camera angles and lighting is able to create another side of Norman that emits a daunting aura that audiences can feel through their screens vis-a-vis his split personalities. Norman is at first shot with unassuming birds at medium eye level when conversing with Marion, but as he starts opening up about his mother, the camera angle shoots Norman at a low angle shot with owls with spanned wings behind him. The low angle and the owls has the viewers feeling helpless as if they were being preyed upon by Norman. The two owls in the shot also differentiate from each other as the owl on the left has brighter lighting while the one on the right is casted in darkness. This foreshadows the dual identities of Norman versus Norma, as he is conflicted by the two personas. Hitchcock has set up those stuffed birds in the room in a specific way. Close to Marion, we see small birds around her, which alludes her to being like them. In Norman's words, he views her as he views the birds as passive. For Norman, he is viewed with an assortment of birds. During this shot, he is calm. We can see him with a more assuming bird than the owls. But as he talks about his mother, the camera angle shifts to the low angle where we see the praying birds. The hostility he has taken is similar to a child defending his mother's honor, like a child would do when he hears a "yo mama" joke. In this scene, Norman declines Marion's offer to share her food, which can be seen as an illusion of Norman fattening up his prey like what a butcher would do to his livestock. Hitchcock's analogy for bird also works, being that the word bird is also a British slang for woman or female. Being in between the unassuming bird and the owls represents the confliction of Norman's two personas. As Marion gets up to leave the room, a crow can be seen next to her. Crows are known to represent the forthcoming of death, which is a foreshadowing of her fate. Norman's pastime of bird taxidermy is a double entendre of Hitchcock as he portrays the women in this film as birds. Norman remarks to Marion for eating like a bird, comparing to the passive birds he believes her to be. Hitchcock incorporates the stuffed birds to represent Norman's desire to kill and stuff women, like his taxidermy hobby. By having the taxidermy linked to his serial killing, Hitchcock creates parallels to Norman's night and day persona so that both Norman and Norma have hobbies that mirror each other.